to Leaders in Action. I'm Robin Trimingham of the Olderhood Group, and joining us today is Olderhood CEO Bill Story and Amoti Nyabongo, Olderhood Senior Advisor. Welcome, Amoti.
Hi.
So, Amoti, what are we chatting about today?
Basically, we're taking a look at the remaking of traditional roles.
Okay, so if you're a leader in an organization, why is this a critical thing for people to be thinking about?
Well, first off, because of COVID, a lot of the outcomes and the tasks that we would do through the normal course of business have changed, being that we're working remotely, or we've downsized, we've got social distancing, so we can't really expect the same outcomes with the old behavior. We're generating new behavior, we're doing new things, we have new practices in play for obvious reasons. So we kind of have to take a look at what are some of the things that we need to change that we've taken for granted for so many years.
Okay, so a leader really is only as strong as the organization that supports them. Bearing that in mind, how do organizations need to adapt how they're thinking about their human capital requirements?
That's a good question. What happens is through adversity, we're finding out where the, if you will, where the waste is. Because we're operating off of a leaner operation, we see that there are areas where there's duplicity, there's areas where it's not as effective or efficient in the old way, and now we're, like you said, right sizing. We're getting it to the point where we're looking at and reevaluating how we do what we do.
I would imagine equally so that there are new areas of need emerging within organizations.
Most definitely, most definitely. There are certain things that have come up through remote working and all of the distancing things, where you're looking at interaction and relationships with people through digital platforms. Well, that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because now, do you really have that personal space? Do you really have that buffer whereby, okay, this is home, this is work, now I've got home and work in the same room, in the same setting?
Organizations are identifying areas where there is excess human capital. And how does a leader help their people transform so that they can fit these new areas of need? How does a leader prepare their people for these changes?
Well, I think the first step in being the leader is to have a vision or have a direction of what are the core competencies. Okay, the second thing would be to start asking good questions of their people. You know, does this make sense? Talking with colleagues, talking with your equals in other industries, you know, finding out what the best practices are there. So you're becoming sort of like the research associate now, along with the leadership hat.
Okay, fair enough. Now, we've been talking about this from the organization point of view, from the leader point of view, but really, you know, you can lead a horse to water, as they say. You can't make them drink. So a big part of all of this is going to be on the shoulders of the individuals. And how do they need to transform their own mindsets in order to, you know, to continue along a career path and not get left by the wayside?
That's the $1 million question right there, Robin. Folks are having to take a hard, long look at what they're doing, how they contribute in the workplace. What do they bring to the market? What value do they bring? For example, there are jobs now that are becoming obsolete because of automation, because there's no need. Society is moving forward at light speed, and folks that can't keep up get left behind. The problem is, how do we encourage people to want, or as it's been said, how do we generate voluntary compliance? Okay. How do we do that mind shift? How do we encourage the mind shift to realize that, okay, I was putting widgets together. Now I've got a machine that's putting widgets together. Do I become the technician that services the machine, or do I become the programmer that puts in the program that the machine does the task? So it's just reimagining yourself in a different light.
Well, as you say, this is the $1 million question. There's a great quote out there, and it's the definition of a job is it's partially what you like to do, partially what you're good at, and partially what people will pay you to do. And I think a lot of people are going to realize that they're going to be challenged to take a good hard look at those three areas of themselves, particularly what are their skills, and then see what other areas of work exist that they can fill a need, fill a niche, apply their skills, their expertise to.
And to piggyback off of that, the real question now is, how do you turn around midstream, and then you realize all of a sudden that this isn't what you wanted to do anyway? You wound up in a job because the job was there. Life took over. You're comfortable now. You may be in a supervisory role, and now COVID hits. The world is restructuring. We're going in a different direction. Okay, think fast. Got to come up with an idea. So it's the age of discovery again. It's that brave new world attitude that folks need to adapt. When they say adapt or die, and this is very real. And I can't put it any plainer than that. There are no timeouts in life. You get a minute to breathe, but there are no timeouts. So you constantly have to say, how can I become better? How can I do what I do? Or how can I take it to the next level? I'm a big advocate of reading. And then when you get tired of reading, keep on reading. And then when you get tired, pick up another book and read. The acquisition of knowledge, we are a knowledge-based economy now. It's even in the service sector, it's knowledge-based. If you don't know how to use a laptop, if you're not familiar with spreadsheet, if you're not familiar with Word, and all the other programs that are out there that are layered on top of these software platforms, you're gonna have more of a challenge.
Bill, we've got about a minute and a half here left. I know in one of our interviews with Andrew Bryant, you were saying pretty much the similar thing about a lot of people fall into a rut because of the paycheck and the family responsibilities. What's your take on all of this?
Well, I think part of the problem at the moment is that we and I don't mean we here, but people, especially online, the coaches, the trainers, etc., take this sort of high level approach to the changes. You need to do this, you need to do that, you should do this, you should think about it, which is all fine and dandy, but it doesn't take account, or at least I don't think it takes account of people's feelings and emotions. And people's feelings and emotions are paramount, and certainly in my career, they have been paramount, both myself and others. And I don't think that as coaches, we're taking cognizance of that situation, that it's all very well to say you should do this and you should do that, but if there is some reason, maybe a family situation, maybe a personal situation, maybe a health situation that is affecting people, and we're ignoring that psychological or emotional impact, then I think all we're doing is we're just talking around in circles and making ourselves look good. And again, I don't mean us here. I just mean generally speaking, when we watch YouTube videos, there's this, uppity, if I can use that word, sort of feeling.
Well, that's a wonderful way to put it, and I think there's an awful lot for people to consider. You've been watching Leaders in Action. Now we're going to head back to the studio.